Hey.
Welcome.
Something about a book.
Welcome to podcast. Generations to Generations.
That's not the name of the podcast.
That's what we just literally said.
We might name the episode that, but not the podcast.
That's what the file saved as right now.
We're not grandpas. Grandpas.
We will be. One day.
Eventually, assume.
Well, here we are.
Here we are.
What's going on with you, Tony?
Nothing. We got some things to talk about today.
We do.
We're going to do it out of order. Normally, we talk about what we're playing, and then we go into our topic. But today, since we're going to talk about all the games that are memorable from the past generation of consoles that we've owned, I think we should do it. Start from where we started, and then go to what we're playing now. If that makes sense.
This is going to take a while, I think.
It'll take, I don't know.
I'm looking at your list right now.
I have a large list of games that I remember and played.
I hope you don't talk about them in detail.
No, I won't.
Oh, dude, I have that game too.
See, I'll probably just mention them all, and then if you have something to add, you can. Or if we get to a certain console, and you played a game that I didn't play, we'll do it that way.
Interesting. Okay. Fair enough.
So I guess we can start just right off the bat.
All right.
Although I think
go ahead and start.
You had a Sega Genesis or whatever it is, so you should technically start.
Okay.
We're doing it in order.
Then I will start.
Then we'll go to me for everything else.
I mean, I guess so. I kind of interpreted this when we talked about it before of our number one favorite game, so I wasn't prepared with a huge list, and when I look at your list, it's like you wrote a book, and I wrote like a little summary, like a one-paragraph summary.
Spark notes of your favorite.
I have a Spark Notes. And
that's because when I texted you, I said, hey, let's do our favorite games from the past consoles. And then when I started thinking about them all, I'm like, I just want to talk about every game I owned.
All right. Well, Sega Genesis. First console I owned. A lot of fun. I would say the highlights, these are not all of the games I have for Sega Genesis. I have quite a few. But the highlights for me would be, number one, Shaq Fu. I think some people have heard of this one online because of its ridiculousness. It is a ridiculous fighting game, kind of like Street Fighter, but with our beloved Shaq from
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal, yeah. And he has some pretty crazy moves, and it's just a classic fighting game. And it's actually quite difficult, I feel.
I don't know what this game is at all.
We'll have to play it sometime.
Is Shaq Fu literally just like Shaq fighting a whole bunch of ninjas that are like half his size?
They're actually, a lot of them are his size. Or
Shaq-size ninjas.
A little bit like normal size compared to Shaq.
Okay.
There are some smaller, some about the same size. Very Mortal Kombat-esque.
Is there a fatality? Is there a fatality
There's
where
not a
Shaq
fatality.
rips off a guy's head and dribbles it down the court and slam dunks it?
That would be awesome.
Because if they're going to remake Shaq Fu with fatality, I like to see that. That
did not happen in the game. However, I'm sure that the developers of that game, be together again and make Shaq Fu 2, they might want to hear that. So you may want to contact them. The second game I was highlighting about Sega Genesis would be Battletoads Double Dragon, which is the same game.
I thought those were two different games.
No. There's a game. Well, they are two separate games.
Okay,
there is Battletoads. There is Double Dragon.
I don't know. I've never owned a Sega Genesis, therefore I don't have a lot of experience with it. Literally thought those were different games. Are you sure they're not?
I am 100% positive. It's in my closet right over there. I can show you.
I'll take your word for it.
It is a game where you can play as either the Battletoads or Double Dragon, and you go through the levels and you just fight the bad guys, and you team up with these beloved characters.
It's a
side-scrolling fighting game. It's all about those combos. You got to get a certain amount of hits in, and then you get like a killer move. Some fun, speeder bike racing kind of happens in there too, a little bit.
A side-scrolling arcade game that's ported to the console.
That's a good description. Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Because I know what it looks like. I just literally thought they were two different games.
I think there are separate games, but I think they came together for this game.
So it's like a dual pack.
Sort of, but I mean, it's the same story with all the characters.
Oh. Well, I don't know what I thought anymore.
We'll have to play it. We'll just have to pull it out and play it. I feel like the same thing with Shaq Fu. The other thing about Sega that I love that kind of is on Wii now, I guess, nowadays, is Sonic. The original Sonic games. A lot of fun.
Before Sonic got really bad.
Before Sonic got really bad, Sonic was really good. That's why he was a beloved character in American culture, gaming culture. Sonic 1 through 3, yeah.
He was a poster boy for Sega Genesis.
He was. And
Sega.
it was classic platforming. It was distinctly different from Mario because you had the speed aspect. It was a lot faster. It wasn't as much about jumping. It was more about getting speed and using momentum to get through different areas. And then you always had Tails, and you had a couple different characters in the second game. You get access to Tails and Knuckles, and so they each have their own little special ability that can kind of help you get through different things. But it does have the general outline of a regular platformer. The bosses you just have to jump on top of a couple times, and then that's how you kill them. So
right,
yeah. Yep, Eggman. Then lastly. One of the highlights of the Sega Genesis, I believe, was Street Fighter 2. That's still a series of games that come out today. So we know that there's a large following, and it's pretty clear why with this game. I think it was probably the highest level produced fighting game that I had on Sega Genesis.
Street Fighter 4 was at EVO 2015.
Yeah. So... They got some good stuff, It was fun because you didn't just fight people. They also had these challenges that would happen. So if you played, the campaign mode...
You gotta beat up a car.
Yeah, there's one where you have to beat up a car. There's one you have to take down these walls. And there's one that you have to beat up a car. Can't remember what the other ones were. There's another one.
There's a lot of car beating ups.
There are a lot of car beating ups. But it was a good game. And I remember countless hours playing with my brother, who was older than me, who knew all the combos, and me losing a lot. But eventually I learned those combos, and I was able to compete. So,
but did you win, or just compete?
I honestly don't remember. I'm sure that he won more times than I did. But, shut up.
You have two older brothers.
I do have two
that played video games with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you being the youngest, obviously, you would probably get the hard end.
Hard end of the stick.
Yeah.
I did, for sure.
I have two older sisters who didn't really play video games with me, so I never had that. So you're very into social gaming, and I'm very into single-player gaming, based on how we grew up with our families.
I could see that.
So you got to hang out with your brothers and play all these video games. I had to experience all my video games by myself.
Yep.
And you'll kind of see that on my list of games. However, my first couple games came directly from my sisters.
Oh, tell me about that.
This was... the Game Boy Pocket, which is the original Game Boy. So it's that gray Game Boy.
The thin one?
Yeah. It was gray, and there was a contrast scroll on the side, so you can make darker or lighter. For whatever reason, there's a power switch and a headphone jack, and the game cartridge and the AA batteries, and that's all that was on it. And I would play, Mario was one of them, I don't know which one, but I've never really been into Mario. I played this awesome game called Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle. Which
oh my gosh.
is like a...
how old are you?
It's like I was young.
Okay.
But it's like a vertical scrolling castle climber where you're Bugs Bunny and you're like Daffy Duck and Tasmanian Devil and all these people. And you have to climb up ladders and go down tubes and chutes and get around all these people and kill them and all. So that was super fun. I remember that today. Then I also played The Little Mermaid. Which was directly influenced by my sisters. And that is
of course. Blame it on your sisters.
Everyone's least favorite level is always the underwater level in any game.
Yeah.
And The Little Mermaid is literally just all underwater, as you would expect.
So would you say that the entire game was terrible?
I don't remember. I just remember playing it. I assume it would be bad. Because it was a Disney game based on that. But, yeah, let's just say it was bad. So I don't remember playing a lot of Game Boy Pocket. I didn't own one specifically, but both of my sisters had one. And then I got old enough, and they're just like, here, take these two Game Boy Pockets. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I'll do that. So I eventually upgraded to the Game Boy Color.
Nice.
That was a yellow Game Boy Color. Obviously played Pokemon games. There was a lot of games. My first couple of I'm going to call handheld consoles.
Okay.
I didn't own a lot of the games, personally. So there was this family down in my neighborhood that I lived with. And it was three boys, very much like yours.
Okay.
And I'll go over to their house all the time. And would hang out with them. And all the boys liked playing video games. So every boy had their own Game Boy, and every boy had their own copy of a Pokemon game. So red or blue or silver or gold or whatever it was.
Yeah, I got you.
So there was double copies all over the house, and they're kind of messy. So every time I would go over there, I'd just take one for myself.
Did you
and never give it back?
Wait, so you literally stole? Your first experience with Pokemon was stealing it from your friends?
Well, my parents didn't like to buy me a lot of video games, but their parents bought them a lot of video games. So I would go to their house and we would talk about video games with them and watch them play Pokemon or whatever. Like, oh, this is so cool. And I was a little troublemaker when I was younger. And I would literally just...
And nothing has changed.
I don't steal so much anymore.
Okay.
But I would just take I have a red copy and a blue copy of Pokemon. Didn't buy either one of them. I stole them both from that house. They still have 2 other copies of each game. But I own both of them. And then later, I would train up my Pokemon and would trade with them. And they'd be like, hey, where'd you get this red copy? I'm like, my parents got it for me.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm a liar and a thief.
A liar and a thief, everyone.
So I played that, and then I played Donkey Kong Country, which I don't think I stole. I don't know. There's this one instance I remember I was playing with my Game Boy Color, and I was at one of my sister's softball games, and I was playing it outside, and a bug flew in through the speakers and was crawling around on the screen, on the inside of the screen. And I believe that bug is still there. And this was years ago. I mean, it's dead, obviously, but I think there's a dead bug carcass in my screen. It was so annoying because I couldn't get it out. And it freaked me out when I first saw it, obviously, because there's a bug on my screen. I'm like, it's out of here.
Right.
And I realized it's inside. I'm like, well, how am I going to deal with this?
You couldn't.
You can't.
There's nothing
so
you can do.
You just have to play Pokemon with this bug running around.
That's rough.
Do you have a Game Boy Color?
I did. I also had a Game Boy Pocket.
What color was the color?
The color was the see-through purple.
Oh.
Yeah. I might actually still have it in this drawer right here. I don't think I sold it. The Game Boy Pocket, I remember specifically, we had this game. It was Judge Dredd, based off the 80s movie. I guess it was an early 90s movie with Sylvester Stallone. You just ran around and shot people, honestly. I mean, that's...
Was it a side-scroller, or was it...
It was side-scroller. But you could also go up and down. So, not just straight side-to-side, but there was a little bit of platforming involved. So that was... I know we had more games than that, but that's the only one I can remember. So, Game Boy Color, though, we had plenty of games for. We actually didn't have Pokemon games.
Oh, tell me why.
Well, my parents didn't like us to have Pokemon games for some reason, so we weren't allowed to have Pokemon games.
Just a reason that you don't know of? Or
I mean, they basically said it's like the devil worship or something.
Yeah.
Like Pokemon is like monsters, pocket monsters. Like, you're summoning monsters out of the ground.
Out of your pocket.
Out of your pocket. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, eventually they got over that, but... When I was a kid, they weren't. When it first came out, they were like freaking out because there were lots of parents freaking out. They were like, "Don't let them read Harry Potter and don't let them play Pokemon."
My parents didn't want me to read Harry Potter either, and I couldn't watch. I remember I brought home the 3rd movie of Harry Potter, and my dad was in the garage. He's like, "Oh, what movie you got?" I'm like, "Oh, Harry Potter." He's like, "I don't want you to watch that." I'm like, why? It's the 3rd movie. No one's died from this yet. And then my mom finally bought me the 7th Harry Potter book, Deathly Hallows, and everyone in my family was like, why? Why are you buying him this book? And she's like, listen, if he's interested in reading a book, I'm going to buy it for him, instead of playing video games all the time. Granted, I still do both.
Yep.
So, that's my little tangent.
No, I can't remember really any other Game Boy Color games. I know there was... I can't remember if this was for Game Boy Advanced, or if it was Game Boy Color, but we had this pod racing game that in the cartridge was a rumble pack. And so if you hit the walls, it would make the whole thing rumble. It was really interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
It was the same size?
No, it was bigger. Like, where it went into the Game Boy, it was the same size, but above it, it protruded out and had like a rumble pack. Yeah.
Huh.
It was really interesting.
I've never seen that.
It was very difficult as well. I'm not a big racing game person, and that might be why. It's because this first game I played was not the best.
There was a pod racing on the N64, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
That I'd always play when I went to my friend's house, because I hadn't known one.
Yes.
But, PlayStation Generation 1? Gen 1 PlayStation.
So, I have so many games.
I played Crash Bandicoot 3. Didn't play the first two. One of my friends had 1 and 2. Whenever I go to his house, I'd always want to play them. But a lot of my friends don't like to play video games as much as I did. So they're like, I don't want to do this. So it'd either end up with me playing the video game by myself and them doing other things, or us just not playing the video game.
Yeah.
So Crash Bandicoot 3 I played. Now, I was still playing games with my sisters at this point. They weren't too old or too girly to play. And then there was Crash Team Racing, which is a fantastic game.
Yeah.
Which is Sony's
version of Mario
Kart. Which is, if they remade it again, I'd play it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Another Disney game, A Bug's Life, which is awesome. Let's see. Jet Moto, which was it was like a jet bike hovercraft game, where you would go around these races and you would be 1 or 2 player, and you'd play. My dad would actually play that game with me, which is real cool because Dad never really played video games. And also, the local pizza joint would have TVs in the booths. Like, there'd be a booth, and on the wall there'd be a TV. And then there would be PlayStation controllers screwed into the table so you couldn't steal them.
Yeah.
And the game on it was Jet Moto. Mm-hmm. There's also Twisted Metal.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Which was too violent. My parents wouldn't let me play that. But Jet Moto we would play when we ate dinner at that pizza place.
Nice.
Which was awesome. Spider-Man 1 and 2 was awesome.
Dude, it was so good. I'm not going to lie.
They were the games where, like, you jump from rooftop to rooftop, and, like, if you fell down below the rooftop, you couldn't walk on the road. Like, there was, like, a fog. Mm-hmm. And if you fell into the fog, you died.
You died.
But there were, like, cameos from every character. So there's Spider-Man, there's Daredevil, who tells you how to do things, there's Beast, Wolverine, all this awesome stuff. That was... I have very fond memories of that. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
1 and 2, both.
See, I only played 1. There was the Neversoft logo on that game. Was the eyeball bouncing up and down.
Yep.
And then there would be a spear that would come down straight through the eyeball.
Yeah.
And the retinal cord would wrap around the spear. Like, this is so metal, blah, so brutal.
Yep.
And it almost scared me every once in a while.
Yeah.
I had a PlayStation. This is my most embarrassing story that has to do with video games.
Okay.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
I had the PlayStation, and the original PlayStation console, the controllers didn't have any analog sticks. It was just the D-pad, R1, R2, L1, L2,
right,
and the face buttons, start and select. That's all. But there was a point where game developers were creating games that used analog sticks. I would go to Blockbuster. I'm really dating myself saying Blockbuster. But I'll go to Blockbuster and I'd rent games. I would come home and I'd play them. Have a lot of fun. Whatever. There's one game I played. I rented Ape Escape, which I had heard good things about, or somehow I knew and I wanted to play it. I brought it home, and I plugged it in, and it was the very first level, and I couldn't move. Like, I could look, I could roll or whatever, but I couldn't physically, like, move my character.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this happening? Because at that point, I had the controller without analog sticks, but I knew that they were different controllers with analog sticks. I didn't know they were called analog sticks, though. I heard that they were called joysticks, but I didn't know that they were called joysticks, so I called them Joey sticks.
Joey sticks.
Yes. So people were like, oh, I need a Joey stick for this. But, man, I rented the game, tried to play it, got so frustrated because I couldn't play it. My sister was out. It was the middle sister, the one that still played video games. The other one at this point was too old. I'm like, oh, Mom, I want her to help me. I can't figure this out. Like, have her come down and help me because she knows more about video games than I do. Is what I said.
Have you ever said that before? Like before that point, after that point, have you ever uttered those words?
No, I'm not. So
that's what I figured.
So she wasn't home and she couldn't figure it out. My mom couldn't figure it out. I was too young to figure it out, but I knew there was this thing called a Joey stick. So I called Blockbuster. And again, this is when I'm young. And I call him. I'm like, hey, do you guys have a Joey stick? And the guy is like, excuse me, what?
A Joey stick.
He's like, what's? I said, yeah. Do you have a Joey stick?
Joey stick.
Do you have Joey's stick? And he's like, what? Is this some kind of joke? And I'm young at this point. Remember, I haven't gone through puberty yet, so I have this high pitched voice.
Would you demonstrate it?
No.
Okay.
And I said, I just need a Joey stick. And the guy is getting a little bit frustrated at this point. He's like, ma'am, I don't have what you're looking for. Don't call here again. So I couldn't figure out how to play the game. I got confused from my mother because I had a high-pitched voice, and I still didn't know they were called analog sticks or anything, or even joysticks. So, it's probably my most embarrassing story, just because I'm a girl.
Well, I mean, there was the point where the Blockbuster dude thought you were a woman, and then there's also the point where you had to say that your sister knew more about video games than you, and she's definitely not a gamer.
This is 2 pretty harsh blows in one game.
Double punch. Dang. Well, PlayStation 1 for me, I think, was a different experience than what you had. Though I did have, what was it, Spider-Man, I think, 1. I had one of the Spider-Mans, and then I played Twisted Metal at a friend's house, but I did not actually own it. So we go to my friend's house. But me and one of my brothers were really into RPGs, and this is what started my love of RPGs. So I'm going to go through a couple of these RPGs that I used to play. First and foremost, one of my favorite games that I feel like doesn't get enough props from this generation would be Legend of the Dragoon. It's the only one. There's never been a second Legend of the Dragoon. There's not any continuation of the story. It's this epic fantasy where these heroes get these powers where they can become like these. They get enhanced with like dragon abilities, and they become these dragoons. So if you've played Final Fantasy series, you know dragoons have special armor. They can jump really high. They use lances. Well, it's kind of like that, except for all of them become dragoons outside of the regular class. And each of them also has their own special ability in that. But what I loved about it was the story. Story was one of those grand, epic kind of tales. You know, good versus evil.
Well, everybody has a destiny.
Yeah, sort of, to an extent. Some of the side characters aren't explained very well. But the main character, I'm not really sure where he comes from. I know his name is Dart. But there are a few characters in there who were definitely have like a Destiny type aspect to it. But I just remember loving that game, and the combat system was slightly different than Final Fantasy. I would say that this is a Final Fantasy type RPG where it has like that grand narrative, the grand epic evil versus good kind of situation, and with like the world map you run around, it's like free roam, but you eventually get access to the other continents on the world map, and you know, you go into the town, and then it's like you're in regular size.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like one of those type. But the combat system was different because while you could have equipment, you could have your sword, your shield, whatever. When you're in the actual combat, you don't just hit X and then you're like selecting attack or defend or magic attack. Like you're not selecting those. You select a combo, or if you select attack, you have to do a button combination. So you would hit attack, and then when your character is attacking, you would hit with your character as he attacked, and it would be like a certain combo. And so you would know the buttons that would come because you know which combo that you have equipped. And so you would master those combos, and then you would get bonuses for them, and you would learn new ones. And it was just so much fun. I loved it. It was so much fun. There wasn't really magic in the game. There was to an extent when you were a Dragoon, but there were these items. I know there were a lot of like items you could use for like magic type attack or like elemental type attacks. So Legend of the Dragoon was a lot of fun. Me and a few of my friends who played it really enjoyed it. Next up on my list for PS1 would be maybe... I put it up there as one of my favorite games of all time. Final Fantasy IX. I think
Digimon World.
Digimon World is up on this list too, but it's not my favorite. Final Fantasy IX is definitely one of those Final Fantasy games that people overlook a lot. Everyone talks about 7. This is definitely the most popular PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy game. May even be the most popular Final Fantasy game of all time, at least well known. But 9, I just connected with on a much easier level.
Was 9 the first one you played?
9 was not the first one that I played. The first one I played was 8. I played a demo for 8 that came with another game that was terrible. I don't even remember what it was called. But I'd seen my brother play through 7. I'd watched him play it. And then we had the demo for 8. And I tried playing the demo. I couldn't get past like the first boss, so I wasn't really bad at it. Watched my brother beat that one. But 9 was the first one that I picked up. And the first time I tried when I was a kid, I couldn't beat it.
The first one you actually played?
The first one I actually played through was 9.
It's either you or somebody else has a theory that the first Final Fantasy game you play is your favorite of all of them.
I mean,
so
it
9
could be.
is your favorite. It's also the first one that you actively played the whole game of.
Well, I attempted. That first attempt, I think I got to the second disc. And again, I was a kid when this happened. I went back and played through it later on. I beat it twice. I played through it 3 times, but I only beat it twice. So the first time as a kid, I couldn't beat it.
Was it just as good?
But it was just as good. I mean, when we met, I was playing through it.
Who's the main character in that?
His name is Zidane. 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 He's a little, like, thief-looking dude with, like, a monkey tail. And I think the reason I connected with this story so well is because it was more of that, like, fantasy type of world. Like, Final Fantasy VII is very, like, industrial, and there are machines, like, there are recognizable machines. There's, like, trains and cars and factories and people running around with guns and all that. And Final Fantasy VIII is very similar to that, where they're, like, literally, you can just drive a car around the world map. But Final Fantasy IX was, like, the older style fantasy that was more magical. Like, the world was more magical. Like, the mode of transportation was airships that were not even, what was it that they were powered by? I can't remember.
By love.
Not by love.
Powered by the heart.
But there weren't really cars. Like, there were a bunch of different, like, races of beings. It wasn't just humans. And dogs. Red 13.
There were humans?
There were
dogs?
humans.
Or there weren't humans and dogs?
No, there were both humans and dogs, but there were also a bunch of other races. And it just seemed like a heavier emphasis on the fantasy aspect of the story. It wasn't as realistic.
Out of the Final Fantasy.
Out of the Final Fantasies, it was more fantastical. It was fantastical. And so I just really connected with the main character because he was very lighthearted, which is the opposite of Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII, who both have very serious main characters.
Real emo.
Very emo. I mean, 8 is definitely emo. 7, he's just kind of like, he's a soldier, and he doesn't remember anything. So he's kind of a bland.
Really? That's the premise of 7?
Yeah.
I've never played it.
You've never played 7?
No.
Dude, 7 storyline is the most messed up storyline. It's like, the first disc you think one thing, then the second disc it's like, oh, just kidding, it's actually this. And the third disc is like, oh, just kidding, it's actually this. And you work under these premises for the entire disc, and then it just, like, bones you. Bones your character.
The main character in 7 is Cloud.
Cloud Strife.
And he was a military guy?
He was an
memory?
He was ex-soldier, which soldier was, like, a special division of, like, the military.
A PF? A private force?
Basically.
Metal Gear Solid.
And he kind of, like, loses his memory, and he's, like, helping out this rebel group. Against Shinra, the power company. So it's a little bit different.
I was worried there because my favorite game of all time is Dragon Quest VIII.
Yeah.
In the very beginning of that is you're a soldier, a castle soldier who lost his memory.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. He can't talk. He lost his voice at least. Anyway.
So Final Fantasies 7, 8, 9 are all great games, but 9 is definitely my favorite. Maybe one of my all-time favorite games. Next up, Mega Man Legends. Man, that game, I wish they'd remake it.
I think I think I rented Mega Man Legends again from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get past the tutorial because I didn't have any joysticks.
Oh, you and those joysticks.
But I didn't call anybody. I'm just like, this sucks. I'm not playing this anymore.
Yeah. Mega Man Legends was definitely fun. And you definitely need a joystick for it. Or a Joey stick.
A Joey stick.
A Joey stick. Yeah, I mean, it was a different type of RPG than the other ones I'd played. I mean, it wasn't really about... I mean, it was, to an extent, it was about equipment because you could, like, customize and build your own, like, Mega Man cannons that had different abilities and properties and strengths and things, which made it a lot of fun. But you didn't, like, enter into combat. It was more like Legend of Zelda where the enemies are all around the map and you just engage them, like, when you go there. And so... I mean, I think the coolest part. I mean, I was really young when I played all these games for the first time. I just remember really enjoying the difference in combat from Legend of the Dragoon and those other Final Fantasy games where you could actually like run around and dodge and roll around. And I hadn't played any Zelda games up to this point, so this was like, I would say it's a very similar style to like a Zelda game in the way that it played.
I didn't play a lot of Nintendo games,
Yeah.
so everyone that talks about Mario or Zelda, I'm just like, I never played that. Game Boy Advanced. I never got the actual Game Boy Advance, that oblong shape. I got the SP, which was next on the list of the gaming systems.
Yep.
Again, I wrote on my notes here, Game Boy Advance SP, stolen games, parentheses, probably. So I don't know how many of these I owned or got.
Not surprised.
But there's an awesome Dragon Ball Z game.
Oh, I know.
Legend of Goku 2.
Yes!
Was legit.
Oh,
it was so good.
Gosh,
it was
so good.
That was, I think it was very similar to the older style Zelda games, where you just walk around the map and fight baddies and Kamehameha and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You can switch out between other characters, so
That's
that was
good
awesome. Pokemon Ruby, which is my favorite Pokemon, and then also Fire Red, which is really good.
Yeah.
Later in life, my wife would also like to play Pokemon. And when I asked her, there's another embarrassing story about video games.
Oh, how exciting.
When we agreed to play, we'd battle each other in Pokemon Red. I had Red and she had Leaf Green, I guess. And I sat down before we started dating and I said, okay, whoever wins this game, the loser has to ask them to be like their boyfriend or their girlfriend. And it was the day we got back from spring break. We were at college, and we'd both been training our teams all week, and we played, and she beat me, and
destroyed.
And I was so upset because she didn't have I had all these legit Pokemon, but they were just all we set the level cap at 45, and all my Pokemon were level 32, and all of hers were at 45, just because. I had gone on a school trip that weekend, and I was a little embarrassed about playing Pokemon around all these people. Mm-hmm. Well, she went home, and she just played Pokemon the whole week. So she had all these Pokemon that had, Earthquake and, Hyper Beam. And
That's how you knew it was true love, when she had power leveled her Pokemon higher than yours.
That's right. So, for people that don't know, Justin's very jealous of my wife because she plays video games with me.
When did I say that? When did I ever say that?
Maybe not jealous, but envious.
I would look for a similar quality.
There you go.
In my own life.
The first Fire Emblem game I played was on the Game Boy SP. Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, which is still my favorite Fire Emblem game.
It is a good one.
It's the second in the series that came out in the US. I think it's the 9th total series. But Fire Emblem, the first one, wasn't very good. Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, there's this character named Ross. Mm-hmm. And when you get him, he's a villager, so he's not very strong. Mm-hmm. You can level him up 30 levels. He becomes this giant berserker guy, which is just muscles on muscles, with his 40-pound axe. And 100 health points and just destroys anything that he comes in contact with. Nice. And he's one of my favorite characters of any video game.
Ross.
And then Metroid Fusion, which a lot of these games I haven't beat. Metroid Fusion got really hard and I couldn't beat it when I was a kid.
Yeah, and I feel too, when I was younger, I had trouble beating games. And then as I got older, it became much easier.
I tried to, I got a Game Boy Advance emulator on my computer to play Metroid Fusion and try to beat it. But there were key commands that wouldn't relate to the game very well. So I got stuck in the same place I did when I played it on the Game Boy. And I just couldn't beat it. And I got really frustrated.
Gotcha. Another thing I'd like to add to the Game Boy Advance list is Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. That game played just like Diablo 2 did.
On the Game Boy?
But on the Game Boy. Literally, the interface had the two, orbs for health and for, mana. And you just ran around and you just killed orcs, went through the story, and you got better and better drops as the harder guys you fought. And you just try to get cool swords and, the ones that are rare.
Who do you play as?
I always played... Well, I liked Gandalf a lot.
So you gotta choose?
You gotta choose between, if I remember right, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and Gandalf.
No hobbitses?
I think there were hobbits. I think you unlocked some characters, too, if you beat it one time. I just remember Gandalf was the best, because you could, pick, 3 different magical moves. And you could
Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White?
Gandalf
or is it changed?
It's Gandalf the Grey at the beginning. Then you have to fight the freaking Balrog.
Oh,
then
gosh.
you become the White.
Was there different stories for each character?
Well, they would be the same if in the movies or in the story they were the same. So Gandalf kind of had his own thing where he had to fight the Balrog.
There was a Two Towers video game on the PS2 that was very similar to that, I think, where there's different quest lines for the different characters, which is really legit. There's a lot of good Lord of the Rings games.
Yeah.
Which is surprising, because
most movie games are terrible. But
except for a few on my PS2 list, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. What else did you play on that Advanced?
Advanced Wars.
Oh, yeah!
That game was awesome. Real-time strategy.
That game was super hard.
I was very difficult, especially like I don't think I ever beat it. I think the last. Well, it wasn't the last level. I've seen the last level before, but man, that game was so much fun. I love tactics games, and that's another one. Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced was another great advanced game.
Never played it. Well, Fire Emblem is a tactical game.
It is, but I actually didn't get into Fire Emblem until after I played
until Awakening.
Final Fantasy, until Awakening. Really, I mean, I played one on GameCube briefly that I borrowed from my friend,
which now sells for like $100.
Yeah.
They're so expensive.
I think I just gave it back to him.
I know. I wanted to borrow it before you gave it back to him. And I couldn't.
I had it for 10 years, Tony. I had it for 10 years.
Get it back. Get it back from me.
Well,
no.
We'll see what happens. You'll have to come down and talk him out of it.
I'll wrestle him for it.
Yeah.
He's smaller than me.
He's pretty wily. So PS2? You want to go on to PS2?
Oh, I do want to go on to PS2.
Okay.
PS2, here we are. Again, this is kind of a lot of single-player games, because I don't have anybody to play with. So, Ratchet & Clank, all of them. Jak and Daxter, all of them. Also, there's 4 Ratchet & Clank games on the PS2. The last one is Deadlocked, which isn't really it's a Ratchet & Clank game, but you don't play with Clank at all.
Really?
But it's also one of my favorite games, because the guns, the weapons in Ratchet & Clank are so goofy. There's this big old flail you get.
Mm-hmm.
Just a big old ball with a chain and a handle, and you flail it around, and it does AoE effect damage to all these things. And it's so strong.
Very nice.
Also, the Ratchet & Clank games have a storyline, but then at the end of the game, you can do like a storyline plus, which is the first time I've ever experienced that. So you got to keep all your stuff, go back to the beginning, and re-level up all your weapons, do extra damage, and get more bolts, is what they use for money.
Yeah.
Those games are really good. Jak and Daxter.
Oh, so good.
1, 2, and 3. Jak and Daxter 1
was so good.
Is so different from 2 and 3.
It is. They made some major changes to the game.
1 was a 3D platformer, whereas 2 was more like GTA.
Yeah.
And I asked for it for my birthday, and my grandma didn't buy it for me because Jak is holding a giant gun on the front cover. Mm-hmm. She's like, I didn't want to buy that because it has a giant gun.
Yeah.
So I think she gave me money instead, and I went out and bought it after I convinced my parents. But
there you go.
The PS2 is when I started buying games for myself. So that's why I have so much more PS2 and PS3 games as opposed to like PS1 games. Sly Cooper 1, 2, and 3, very good.
I know you really like that series.
I do. I don't know what it is. Sly Cooper is just you play as a fox. Not a fox, as a raccoon who doubles as a thief. And you have 2 buddies, a turtle, Bentley the turtle, and Murray the hippo. And you go around to these different places.
It sounds so bad now that we're older.
No, it's so good. I still love it. I'm trying to get my wife to play it, but I don't think she will. But the first game is Sly Cooper has learned how to be a thief through the Thievius Raccoonus, which is a giant book about his ancestors and all their secret thief moves.
Nice.
And someone steals the book and takes all the pages and puts them all in different places.
Oh, no.
You have to go from place to place.
Why would somebody hide all the pages for?
Listen, if you haven't played the Sly Cooper games, they are fantastic.
I know they just recently did a remaster of those games.
I have them. If you want to borrow them, I will let you. Because Sly Cooper 1 and Sly Cooper 2 are different. Whereas Sly Cooper 1 is very on rails. You have to go down this specific level. Yeah. Sly Cooper 2 is like an open world. Like you load the level up, and it's a 3-dimensional platformer open world.
All right.
Which is much cool. So much cool. Very cool.
Much cool. Yes, very nice.
My favorite game, Dragon Quest VIII.
There it is.
I played.
I knew that was going to come up. He's played this game so much.
I have.
Let me just say that.
Like, I've restarted the game like 6 different times. I'm in the middle of a playthrough right now. I just kind of got burned down on it. But the reason I got this game was because I saw a commercial for it on TV, and it's cell shaded. and it looks very much like Dragon Ball Z. And I was very into Dragon Ball Z because I was on TV at that time.
Yep.
So I got the game because the demo showed like the main character like going Super Saiyan and using a Kamehameha. I'm like, that's so cool. I want to play Dragon Ball Z.
Dude, it's Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Quest.
Well, it was called Dragon Ball Z. Well, I thought it was Dragon Ball Z. It was called Dragon Quest. I'm like, oh, that must be related somehow.
Yeah.
So this is also a game I rented from Blockbuster and played. My first RPG ever.
Did you check if it needed joysticks first?
Well, it was for the PS2, so I already had 2 joysticks on it.
Did you call them analog sticks or joysticks?
I don't know what I called them at this point.
Okay.
But
just checking.
I know at this point I had known that if you look on the back of the game case, it will tell you if you need analog sticks or not. So I must have called them analog sticks.
I feel like they were standard by the PS2 to have analog sticks.
Yeah, I don't think there was a PS2 with that.
I think it was PS1. Just it was developed like halfway through.
Those dummies. Anyway, first RPG ever, which falls into the Final Fantasy. The first RPG you play is your favorite.
Yeah.
Dragon Quest VIII was the first RPG I played. Loved it. Still do.
Yeah.
There was a demo for Final Fantasy XII in the case, which also led me to buy it.
There you go.
Because I had heard Final Fantasy was awesome. So I'm like, oh, I want to try this Final Fantasy game. Play Dragon Quest. Love it to death. Still, I'll talk about it all day. Finally bought Final Fantasy XII, which was the first Final Fantasy I played, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I played Final Fantasy X2. That's the first one I ever played.
Tell me that's your favorite.
And I hated it.
Good. X2 is terrible. We're not talking about that one.
I'm like, it took me like 2 or 3 years to finally muster up enough courage to buy another one, but I bought 12.
Yeah.
And there's this pirate guy, Balthier, on it.
Uh-huh.
And he's super cool.
You like Balthier?
He's the only person I remember from there. But this was a different Final Fantasy from normal. Normally it's turn-based. This one was like open combat.
Yeah. Which
is cool. It was alright.
It was a little bit different. I mean, it was still timed, right? You saw like the circles and they had to go around.
Yeah, you saw the cooldowns.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 12, Need for Speed, Underground, skipped Underground 2, played Most Wanted and Carbon. Carbon's a sequel to Most Wanted. Need for Speed Most Wanted is my favorite racing game ever created. I don't know what that was.
You definitely just spit on me.
No, it came off my finger somehow. I don't know what it was.
Okay. You're sweating.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
A game we can both relate to, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh my gosh, Battlefront. Oh, I'm so excited for the new Battlefront. Oh, I love the old Battlefront. Star Wars is the best. Oh, man.
This is where it gets weird, because Battlefront 2, again, I played by myself a lot, so I played through the campaign, do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then later, I went over to a friend's house when I was in high school, and he had Battlefront 2 on the 360. And we stayed up for days playing Galactic Conquest, where I was on one team and he was on the other team. And we both tried to conquer the galaxy.
Yeah.
And that was so different. But it's so cool that a game like that can be, one, so timeless, because I would still play that game. You just played the game at my house recently.
I did. It was a lot of fun.
Let's see. Guitar Hero 1, 2, and 3. My sister got GTA Grand Theft Auto 3. We weren't allowed to play the game at all. So she got it. She hid it from my parents. Kept it in her room. I snuck into her room. Played it on the PS3 or on the PS2. There was a corrupted save game file on it, so I had to restart that game like 10 different times until I learned how to use different save logs. But I also didn't play the game very long. I found out there's a cheat to make your car fly. So I make my car fly,
sounds like GTA.
And I would go. I would fly to the next island, which was normally locked off.
Yeah.
But because I could fly, I just get over there.
Right.
And then I'll just fiddle fart around over there for a little bit.
Fiddle fart?
Fiddle fart.
Is that a real term, fiddle fart?
I think so. Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh,
classic.
I love that game.
That's a game you need to play if you have a PS2.
Yeah. Highly recommended. They did a PS3 HD remaster.
That with Ico.
With Ico in the same game.
It's dual.
Which I didn't really like Ico as much, but Shadow of the Colossus
makes you feel
so good.
Makes you have some feelings.
Yeah, it's there's such little dialogue in that game, but it's still so good.
There's like 2 things of dialogue: the intro cutscene and the final cutscene.
Yeah. Well,
I never beat the game, but I watched spoilers on it.
But don't you never beat it?
No,
dude, it's such a great game. Man, I feel like it just you just feel so connected to the character. Yeah. Even though he doesn't say anything. And apparently he just loves the chick so much he's going to go take down these huge, freaking scary monsters.
The Colossus.
The Colossi.
They're colossal.
The Colossuses.
Well, people talk about how good this game is because all it is boss battles.
It's minimalist. It's like a different genre of art. You know, it's like a different genre of game.
If there was a game that would ever beat art, it would probably be this one. This one or Journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of games that are very artistic, and I think this is one of the most. I think maybe I don't want to say it's the first one because I don't think I have enough information to tell you that. But it's the first one I ever played that was like an artistic look at a game instead of it being like a big slash 'em up, a big story. It was just artistic.
It was good.
It was definitely good.
Speaking of video games based on movies, Spider-Man 1.
Nice segue.
Yeah. Spider-Man 1, based off the movie, was also one of those where you're on top of buildings. If you fall down to the gas, you die. Fall down to the clouds, technically you die. Spider-Man 2, however, probably the best video game based on a movie ever. Spider-Man 2 was open world, New York City. You did the Spider-Man 2 story arc, but there was also different things. Like there was Electro, there was Shocker, there was Mysterio. You would help citizens in the world. I would have a friend come over, and the web swing in this game is perfect. It's based on momentum instead of just like swinging.
Yeah.
And like if there's not a building above you, you can't swing. So like if you're on the tallest building, you can't swing anymore. You have to jump down and then swing. I'd have a friend come over, and we'd always climb up to the tallest building, and we'd always see who could jump off that building and get closest to the ground without dying.
Yep.
So we'd web swing at the very last moment. That was always really fun. There was also a little... It was like an Easter egg mini-game in Spider-Man 1 or Spider-Man 2 where you would bowl. You would bowl with Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah?
So you would... you'd be on this bowling alley and it'd be larger. You would swing down the bowling alley with Spider-Man. And then you would hit the bowling pins. And then you'd do 10 frames of that. And you would love playing that. My friend would love playing that.
That's great.
I'm like, this isn't that much fun.
Those little mini games.
But I like that you like to play it, so we'll play together, because I don't have any friends. Oh. I don't have any people to play with.
Oh, Tony.
Ultimate Spider-Man was also a very good Spider-Man game. You played against the Goblin, which was a really interesting design choice. He was like a huge Hulk guy.
Yeah.
Transformers is a really awesome Transformers game. And then Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, which you also played, so you can talk.
Okay.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, wow. I love Final Fantasy. I mean, at this point, I think I played Final Fantasy X, which I replayed last year. I think it was I think it was less than a year ago. I bought the HD remastered PS4 edition. Played through it again. Just ate up by the story. You know, it was different than what I expected.
Wait, who's the main character in 10?
Titus.
What's the difference between Titus and Cloud?
So much.
They look the same, don't they?
No.
Why do I think they look the same?
Because they both have blonde hair.
That must be it.
That's the only... I mean, I can show you pictures.
Nah.
But they... 10 just has... The world that they created in 10 was so unique.
Was it more fantasy-based?
It was more fantasy-based, but there were still machines in it. But they called it... They just, like... The fact that they called it Machina, which is just different. And so it just had this, like, mystical feel to it. And it had, again, an epic fantasy type feel to it because there was a visible entity that you were fighting. But it wasn't like an evil dude with his army. It was this thing called sin. And so there's all these, man, I could go on and on about Final Fantasy X, but there are all these, like, allusions to, like, real life with...
Go on and on about Final Fantasy X-2.
No, I hate 10-2. 10-2 ruins everything there is good about Spira, which is the world that they had in Final Fantasy X. Gosh dang it! I don't like to change outfits and change my class. Gosh dang it!
So Final Fantasy X-2 is the only actual sequel to Final Fantasy games? Like, every other game mostly isn't related... Like, 7 isn't directly related to 8, and 8 is not directly related to 9. But
However,
10-2 is a sequel to 10 specifically.
There are a few Final Fantasy games that have had sequels.
I assume in the beginning.
Even the first Final Fantasy games didn't really have sequels. I think the first sequel that I know might have been 10-2, but they also came out with Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus.
I played that.
Cerberus,
that's the one I played. You played as Vincent Valentine, and you got to shoot people.
Yeah.
It's not really Final Fantasy at all.
It really feels nothing like Final Fantasy.
But I beat that one. That was super fun.
It was good. That was alright.
You had these, like, this revolver that you could also change to, like, a shotgun or a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun.
Yep. He is a real character in Final Fantasy VII. He's one of the characters.
Yeah.
He's an optional character. You have to do some special things to get him. And if you don't get him, you can still complete the game.
Oh, yeah.
But he's definitely a really cool character, so you don't want to forget him. But Final Fantasy X was awesome. But I really want to talk about Kingdom Hearts because it was able to take some of the characters from Final Fantasy and squish it in with Disney somehow. When I first saw this game, I was like, "This is the dumbest game." When I looked at the cover, it had like Donald and Goofy on it.
Right, but that's because Final Fantasy is dark. And
Yeah.
Disney.
Exactly. Disney's Disney.
It's like underwater levels all the time.
Yeah.
Like
It's
in the Little Mermaid.
Like under the sea. Like who wants to play that? No one does.
Exactly.
And I will say that level in Kingdom Hearts 2 was really annoying. But
I just played that level.
yeah, I literally hate that. I mean, that's like the worst part of Kingdom Hearts 2.
I was playing that game and I was hoping nobody, like my wife, wouldn't come home and be like, "What are you doing?"
Under the sea.
Like, I'm not doing anything.
Press square. Press triangle. Press square. Do it in time.
Ugh.
Musicals. But I really feel that they were able to make a lighthearted Final Fantasy type game with this grand story of fantasy, but they were able to keep it light and kind of humorous, and they did it in a way where it was an enjoyable experience. So I'm thinking of the mechanics of the game.
Super fun.
Super fun, very approachable. People who don't like RPGs might still like Kingdom Hearts because the combat seemed much more active. It wasn't that turn-based system. It was more hack and slash. And a little bit of platforming and
Hack
exploring.
and blunt. The Keyblade's not very sharp.
It's true.
It's more like a baseball bat.
There would be no slashing involved. It'd be more like hitting somebody with a baseball bat, like you just said. Or a mace. Some of them look sharp, though. If you got some of the other Keyblades.
Yeah.
There were some that could be sharp. Either way.
Very efficient blades, though.
Definitely not efficient. But just kind of a cool blend of two different styles, I would say. And like I said, I went into it and I was like, this is going to be the dumbest game I've ever played. And then I played it, and the mechanics were fun, and the story was actually like...
It was engaging.
It was engaging. So I count Kingdom Hearts as one of my favorites, and I've been waiting on Kingdom Hearts 3 since Kingdom Hearts 2 came out.
I never beat 2.
I know...
I'm in the process.
Dude, wow. You need to get on it.
I just bought the PS3 version of it, but it got really hard and really, really confusing.
It does get pretty hard. Well, with Organization 13,
Yeah.
They added all the nobodies. I would suggest you beat it before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out. But I didn't buy any of those like little small Kingdom Hearts games that came out, like Dreamcraft.
The ones that have all the story between 1 and 2.
Yeah. And like
the one that makes you're just completely lost without playing them.
I really don't like Square Enix's decision
with that
to put so much story into these smaller games that I didn't. I mean, I just wasn't. I think I tried. I tried the first one that came out. It was like Game Boy Advanced. It was the one with
Chain of Memories.
It was Chain of Memories, and it used a card system.
Yep.
For combat, I hated it. I was like, this is dumb.
No, because then at the end you get to the top of the castle and there's this girl there, and she's like a main character in Kingdom Hearts 2, and you're like, who the heck is this girl if you never played the games in between? Which is frustrating. But you also played Rogue Galaxy.
I did.
On PS2.
But you've played it more recently.
Another RPG.
It is another RPG.
It's very similar to Final Fantasy 12, where it's like open-based combat, but it's with cooldowns.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. Nintendo DS. Finally, some games I didn't steal. I bought all these games here.
I'm glad you grew out of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you haven't. Have you grown out of it?
Yes. Most definitely.
I don't know if I can...
Go count your games.
Okay. Okay. We need to keep moving. We'll just keep going. I'm going to let that drop.
Dragon Quest 4 and 5 came out for DS, which are one of my favorites. It's actually a trilogy, 4, 5, and 6. I just never played 6. 5, there's a choice halfway through the game where you're going to choose your wife. And you have 3 choices. And I chose like this princess who didn't want to be married to me. And
you were miserable and you got divorced.
Well, no.
She took the kids.
I tried to choose her because I didn't think I would be able to.
Yeah.
And then they let me choose her. And I'm like, I don't want her to be my wife. I don't like her. And then I tried to turn off the game and turn it back on. But I couldn't get to a point where like the game glitched to where I couldn't revert to a save before the wedding. But the game had progressed to a point where it's after the wedding. But but I wasn't married. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was weird. And then I played Pokemon, obviously, on the DS. And then Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, which is probably the worst Fire Emblem ever made. And then there's a Metroid game. And then there's some PS2 games that I put in the wrong spot, like Dragon Ball Z Budokai, which is awesome, and Final Fantasy 12. Or Final Fantasy 10 2.
Wait, do you actually like 10 2?
No, not at all.
Why do you put it on there?
I just want to talk about how awful it was.
Okay,
because I knew you'd react.
I mean, let's just say the end of 10, I was so emotional. My eyes might have been sweating at that point, if you catch my drift.
A lot of eye workout, I know.
There, sometimes you gotta water.
Retina stamina.
Yeah. And so I just really felt connected to the characters, kind of, just feeling the game, feeling the story, loving it. And I was like, man, maybe I should, I'd always heard 10-2 was terrible from my brother. Mm-hmm. But I was like, you know what? Maybe it's an exaggeration. I'm going to play it because I love Spira. I love this story. I want to know what happens next. Please, God, let it be a good game. Turn it on. It starts off with some, pop concert. How does that fit, Spira? Like that?
Yeah, I remember that. It's Yuna.
Yeah.
And two other girls.
But it's not Yuna. But it is Yuna.
I have no idea. I literally didn't play it much.
Well, I played enough to figure out that wasn't Yuna. But there's a pop concert. Nowhere in Spira was there ever a pop concert in the first game. And I know people are like, oh, well, it's free now from Sin, so they can have Machina and they can make pop concerts again like when Titus was blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Yuna is not a pop god. She is a sorceress chick.
I'm so lost. We've gone down this deep hole.
I'm sorry.
I've created a monster.
I just really did not enjoy what they did with Yuna's character. Don't like what they did with Riku. I mean, Riku is fun. She's just fun-loving. I really didn't get much.
She the yellow girl?
She is the yellow girl.
She the girl that wears yellow?
Yes.
Not the Asian girl.
Aren't they all Asian?
I don't know. I didn't mean that by yellow. I meant she wears yellow.
She wears yellow. Yeah, I mean, they changed the combat system a bunch. It didn't feel as much like an epic fantasy. Maybe I didn't get too much into it. I played for about half an hour, and I turned it off because I could literally not take it. Yep. I mean, one of the classes was basically you're a pop star singer, and you sang. I mean, I guess it was like a bard class, but I just wasn't about it. I didn't like how you changed outfits, and that was the combat system. I didn't like... I just felt like they had taken a character that I loved and turned her into something that she wasn't. I couldn't connect Yuna from Final Fantasy X to Yuna in X2. I had no idea how that happened.
If you played it as, if there was no connection between 10 and 10-2, would it be a good game?
I might have hated it less.
But you would still hate it?
But I still... when I think of a Final Fantasy game, the whole opening just, turned me off to the game. I mean, maybe I'm just too quick to judge.
Definitely.
Maybe that's what it is.
That's probably it.
I think part of that, again, is because I loved the characters, and I felt like they changed them too much. But that's just kind of where I'm at with it.
Okay, PlayStation 3, your favorite game?
The Last of Us. Not even a hard decision, really. I mean, there are a lot of great games on PS3. I mean, there were a lot.
I wrote down a lot.
You did write down a lot.
I wrote down a lot, but I'm not going to talk about them all. I'll just breeze through them. As we talked about last week, Metal Gear Solid 4 and Assassin's Creed, I both got at the same time in that drug deal in the Best Buy parking lot. Mm-hmm. Played them both first. I actually played all the Assassin's Creed games. And I have a really interesting opinion. I like Assassin's Creed 3, where you're in the colonies, and I don't like Assassin's Creed 4, when you're a pirate. Which is almost opposite of everybody else that's played it. Yeah, I
mean, that's opposite of what I think, but...
Warhawk. Did you ever play Warhawk?
I did.
Warhawk was a game you could download, and you would be in these... You were like a...
Advanced fighter pilot.
You were an infantry person that has a sniper rifle, assault rifle, whatever. We could also get into these awesome Warhawks, but they're like fighter jets.
Right.
And you could fly around and shoot down other fighter jets or shoot down anti-air missiles or whatever, but you can also get out and have, infantry on infantry combat, which is the first I've ever seen. Something like that. There's also Jeeps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Big, there's, 32 players on a level. Mm. It's multiplayer, which this is one of the first multiplayer games I could ever play, because on the PS3, connect to the internet, connect to everybody.
Right.
No other game before that had I played where you could do something like that. Warhawk was awesome. Resistance 1, 2, and 3 was kind of PlayStation's answer to
Gears of War, wasn't it?
Gears of War type. It's based in World War II or World War One, where instead of fighting
the Germans,
fight
aliens.
You fight Chimera, which are like an alien infection.
Yeah.
Which the first game is very World War-ish, and then the next two are very you're just fighting aliens.
Right.
But it's still a fun game. Like the first two, you follow Nathan Hale, and then the third game you follow Joe Capelli. But still, the ending of 2 was very unexpected. I liked it a lot. GTA 4 and 5. Didn't play 4 very much. 5 I played a whole bunch with my roommate in college. Just super fun, because you had that online where you could play together and just like run around and kill people, or just run around like race. Red Dead Redemption, obviously a classic.
Oh my goodness. So good. I bought that game and beat it in a day.
Really? That's impossible.
I played it, I guess day isn't. I beat it in 24 hours. So I bought it, or I got it for like Christmas or something, and I played it until I passed out, and then I woke up the next day and played it, and then I beat it.
The game's so good.
I seriously destroyed that game. It was so much fun.
And then Killzone 2 I played, which I never played any other Killzone but that one. It was so weird because it's a first-person shooter. There's a boss fight that I just fought, and I fought him like normal, and then I got a trophy. And at the end, it's like, oh, you get a trophy because you beat him within 15 minutes. I'm like, this is supposed to take that long? Like, I didn't expect it to take that long. Fallout 3.
Fallout 3.
Oh, also New Vegas, which I had put. But we've talked about Fallout 4.
Yeah. I think we've given our opinions on those.
Uncharted are one of my favorites. My favorite kind of villain, maybe not even villain, my favorite kind of do-badder is a thief, based on my previous life experiences. But I love Nathan Drake because he's a treasure hunter thief. And then Uncharted 1 through 3 are awesome. Uncharted 2 is the best. I'm like super excited for Uncharted 4. I played Infamous 1 and 2.
You really liked Infamous.
Infamous 1 is a super good game. Infamous 2 eclipsed it in almost every way. And it was so much better. It improved on a game that didn't need improving, I think. And I love it. And I can talk about that later, because I'll talk about a lot of these things later. All the Call of Duties, Modern Warfare 2, World at War, Black Ops 2, and Ghosts.
Would you say how awesome Modern Warfare was?
This first one?
Call of Duty 4.
Never played it. Well, I did play it, but I never owned it.
It revolutionized shooters. It was the game that made modern Call of Duty. And people, like, I remember I got it for PC. I had a Game Informer, and it talked about how you could now hide in grass, and how you could shoot through different materials, and they had different consistencies.
Yeah.
And it just, like, revolutionized Call of Duty. Because I was a huge Call of Duty fan, because it was always about World War II. And I loved World War II.
Call of Duty 1. Big Red 1.
Big Red 1.
PS2.
Call of Duty 2. I played Call of Duty 2 so much on PC.
Call of Duty, Big Red 1. Do you remember when, I think his name was Brooklyn, he got killed by artillery fire right at the very end of the game.
Made you so sad.
And that was like the first death I've ever experienced in a game. And I'm like, what happened?
The feels.
Anyway, Call of Duty's pretty good when you look at it objectively. A lot of people, I think it's still cool to hate on Call of Duty. I don't hate on Call of Duty because I like it a lot. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people hate on Call of Duty.
I hate on the business model. I don't hate on the games. Well, no, I hate on some of the games. I just don't like how it comes out yearly. I don't know. Maybe I'm okay with it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
You don't have opinions anymore.
I don't have opinions.
BioShock 1 and 2, and then BioShock Infinite. I beat BioShock 1, which is a fantastic... Have you played BioShock?
Yeah. I never beat it.
You never beat it?
Never beat it.
You need to beat it because it's awesome. BioShock 2 I never beat because it was lame, and BioShock Infinite was pretty good. Little Big Planet, PlayStation All-Stars, which was Sony's answer to Super Smash Brothers, which didn't turn out very well. I played Skyrim, The Last of Us, the Batman Arkham series, which we've talked about, and then I got the Jak and Daxter, the Sly Cooper, and the Ratchet and Clank collections, all three of them. I actually got all three of them, have played all of them except for the Jak and Daxter collection, which is odd.
It is odd. True.
Then we got a Wii, and I honestly got a Wii just so I could play Melee.
Which is an okay decision.
Right. And then I also got Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, which was a sequel to the GameCube Fire Emblem that I wanted to borrow from you.
that you still haven't, and I gave it back.
Yeah. Radiant Dawn, however, me and my wife bought used at a game exchange, and it was like $65 because it's so rare.
Shoot.
I haven't played that all the way through.
For me, I have one game listed, and that's Resident Evil 4, which is a PS2 game that was then ported to Wii when it came out, and ported for the controls. And I love
that's what Resident
the
Evil
controls of Resident Evil 4 on Wii. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Wait, it was ported from what?
PlayStation 2. It was from the old generation.
And
they brought it forward to the Wii, and I loved how the control. I felt like I was in the game because I had the motion controls.
Jinx?
Yeah.
Justin.
Are you unjinxing me now?
Okay,
thank you. Yeah, because I just there's so many parts where you're scared, and so you just shake the controller, and that's what you're supposed to do, and do it faster. And then there's parts where you have to actually aim, which I think is so much harder than. Well, it just was different than with a joystick. I just felt like...
A joystick?
Joystick, no. It just felt... I just felt more engaged in the game with that combat, or with the control scheme. And the Wii was good for other games, too. I think.
Like Melee?
Like Melee, but that was a GameCube game, so...
But it's timeless.
The only game... I mean, there's a system we skipped. I don't know if you had... I don't think you had it. The Xbox. The original Xbox.
I never had any Xboxes. Xbox One or 360.
I've had the original Xbox, which I used to call the Xbox One, but then Xbox One came out, so I can't call it that. The original Xbox. Then I also had the 360, and I sold the 360, and I switched to PlayStation 3, but I'd already had a PS1 and PS2, so I don't feel like I was an Xbox guy, then I switched to Sony. I had Sony before I had Xbox.
I'm a Sony pony through and through.
Oh my gosh, you're like a brownie, but it's for Sony.
A Sony pony. Like I said.
You're Brasoni.
Brasoni.
Xbox had a couple of great games. Oh, obviously Halo. I'm not going to talk about Halo because I think everybody...
If you don't know about Halo, then what are you doing listening to us?
Stop listening. Go play games.
Pause this, go find out what Halo is, and come back.
Yeah. But KOTOR, and by KOTOR I mean Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. Two Bethesda RPGs set in Star Wars time.
I didn't know Bethesda made KOTOR.
Yeah. KOTOR 1 and 2 is made by Bethesda.
Who also does Skyrim and Fallout.
I'm going to double check that, but I'm pretty sure KOTOR 1... Let's see. I just got to double check my information. BioWare. That's what it was. BioWare, not Bethesda. BioWare.
Well, that's different.
That is slightly different. Either way, Knights of the Old Republic was such a great game. It was the first game that I played that had that dialogue choices
and
mechanic.
Mortality? Not mortality, a karma.
Yeah, and there's a karma system in it, so it's kind of like Fallout 3 is a very similar game to it, but Star Wars going to happen before it. So storyline was awesome, and KOTOR 2 also was really good. Though I didn't like the ending of KOTOR 2 as much as the ending of KOTOR 1, which I don't want to give any spoilers away, but if you haven't played Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, you can find it on PC. I'm pretty sure it's on Steam, or at least it was for a long time. Definitely check that out. And then also Lord of the Rings The Third Age was a RPG on Xbox that I think was stellar.
That has nothing to do with the movies?
Has nothing to do with the... Well, it kind of goes alongside the movies.
Is it before or after the movies, or during?
It is during the movies. It is during it. And you play as this separate human, elf, and dwarf. And it's it's like turn-based RPG. You run around... And you basically go through all the scenes of the movie, except for with these other characters, and it's slightly different. And at one point, you fight with Gandalf against the Balrog.
Hey, what up?
And then there's at the very end, you fight the Eye. You're on the tower fighting the Eye of Sauron, which is kind of crazy.
Which doesn't happen.
Which is the final boss. Yeah.
Did you ever play
it was so good.
Lord of the Rings Conquest?
I did.
It was the
RTS.
Yeah, no, it was online. It was like a first-person shooter, except you had swords and you also had bow and arrows.
I did not play that game.
It was very. It was like a picture of Call of Duty domination match where there's three flags and you hold them, and whoever holds the most flags for the longest time gets the most points.
Mm-hmm.
It was that, but there was sword fighting and bows and arrows and stuff. Very interesting. You could also throw axes or whatever. 3DS, which just recently came out, Pokemon X Pokemon the Omega Ruby, which was a complete bust because they dumbed down the game and made it super easy, so it's not as entertaining. Smash 3DS, which came out before Smash on Wii U did, so a lot of people bought that to see what Wii U would be like.
Yeah.
And then also Fire Emblem Awakening, which is my second favorite Fire Emblem game behind Sacred Stones. But Fire Emblem Awakening is fantastic. You have it.
I do.
You have it. And you
It
also enjoy it?
I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
It is a very good game.
You also have 3DS. You played Bravely Default.
Bravely Default, man, I put a lot of hours into that game. Very Final Fantasy-esque. I mean,
Go figure.
I mean, that's what it... I mean, they defined part of it. They have, like, a sub-genre, and it's just like Final Fantasy-type RPG. Like, that's just what it is. Bravely Default is basically a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah. Except for 3DS.
Except for it's for the 3DS, and it's not Final Fantasy. But it basically is.
Okay, finally, getting to
Current
what
gen.
we've been playing.
I'm going to go real quick through this.
Whatever.
The Witcher 3.
Still?
Yep. It's fun. That's what I've been playing. And Hearthstone.
That's good.
That's it. Oh, ooh. Star Wars Uprising. It's a mobile game. I started that.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
On the PS4 so far, what I have played, what I'm playing right now, Infamous Second Son. Again, I love the Infamous games. Played Second Son, and might be my least favorite of them.
Really?
However, I had gone to Seattle the week before Infamous Second Son came out, which takes place in Seattle.
Yeah.
So it was fun to go through the game and see all the things that they imported from the actual city to the game. I'm like, oh, I saw that. Oh, I saw that. Oh, I saw that. So that was really fun.
Yep.
Destiny, obviously, was a big thing. I played it. I was addicted to it the year it came out.
Oh, yeah.
And then The Taken King came out, and I never went back. Like, I never played Destiny again.
I think I looked at my Bungie log, and I'd put over 200 hours into Destiny. We played it a lot.
We did play it a lot.
I loved the community aspect we had.
Yeah, but then we all got busy doing other things, so we couldn't play together.
Yep.
I got both Rayman Legends and Knack to play with my wife, because they're both co-op games.
Mm-hmm.
Far Cry 4. Oh, I played Far Cry 3 on the PS3. I don't know if I mentioned that.
You didn't.
Far Cry 2 and 3, they're very different. Far Cry 3 is more of like a... Far Cry 3 and 4 are more like you're in a playground, and you have guns, and you can shoot, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You're pretty much invincible, is how you feel in Far Cry 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Far Cry 2 is very different. It's more like a survival game.
Really?
Like, you have these guns, and you're in Africa, and you don't have a map that you can just look at whenever you want. There's definitely no mini map.
Oh my god! How do you know where to go?
You can pull up like an actual paper map and look, but you can't hold it while you walk. There's that, and then there's also like when you shoot guns, eventually they'll jam.
Oh my gosh!
And the guns will break.
Oh my god!
But there's still that same thing that has happened in Far Cry 3 and 4 where you get hurt and you like press triangle to heal, and then you like pull a bullet out with pliers. Like there's still that animation.
Yeah. But
there's a very different feel between Far Cry 2 and Far Cry 3 and 4.
Took like a little bit of a paradigm shift, would you say?
Yeah. And I kind of wish they would do another game like Far Cry 2 where the guns would like break and shift.
Make it more realistic.
Yeah, because that would be super fun. The only sports game I really ever played was NBA 2K14. And I played that game, and I'm still in the first season of that game because there's like 80 games. Yep. I was like, this is annoying.
You can skip through some. You can skip through them.
It's just too much. Batman Arkham Knight we've talked about.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 5 we talked about.
Yeah.
I had Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, which when I sold my first PS4, I sold that with it. Mercenary Kings I got for my wife, which was fun. DC Universe Online, which was a MMO.
That's all right.
A free MMO that you could get. You play as a superhero you create, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
But I don't like DC as much as Marvel, so I wish Marvel would do something like that.
Yeah.
And then also Outlast.
Oh, scary.
Which is probably the scariest game I've played.
Man, I might have to agree with you. Trying to think if there's a scarier game, but I mean, I was scared of Resident Evil 4 when I played it, and Last of Us had a couple scary moments. Not really that bad, but man, Outlast. Ugh. Outlast
was I got it for free. It was a PSN game of the month, and I played it in my room. And I was living in a house off campus with my roommates, and I played it in my room with the lights off with the headphones on, and I couldn't last more than like 20 minutes.
Man.
And then I had my roommates come up and see if they could, in the same situation, see if they could last any longer. So we had a contest to see who could last the longest.
Yeah.
All of us quit at the same point. We're like, we can't do this anymore.
I think I had a similar experience. I think I had all of my college roommates in the room with me, and we tried to play it together. Yeah. And it was so scary. It was like we would just trade the controller back and forth because nobody wanted to play it.
Right? It's terrifying.
Like, so bad.
And then, so what I'm playing right now is still Metal Gear Solid 5. I haven't beat it yet. Okay. Looking forward to some new games coming out.
Mm-hmm. November's going to be a good month.
We just got to get past this pesky October.
I'll just play The Witcher 3 for all of it.
All right, so your laptop's running out of battery, so we really need to cut it.
Definitely need to cut it.
So this is essentially all the games that we've owned / stole.
I mean, there's some that I don't think I listed, but it's hard to remember all of them. I'd have to go through all of my boxes.
I had a whole bunch of PS2 games that I didn't list, but I assume eventually we'll talk more in depth about these games and what they meant to us and how we enjoyed them. But essentially, this is
a big old list.
A big old list of everything we had. So it's a good starting point for all of us. For us to look at where we're next. And from there, we'll just go on, I guess. We need to... I don't know. I was going to say something about Joey Sticks, but I couldn't think of a joke, so this is what I'm saying.
What we learned about Tony today, he embarrassed himself as a child.
I suck at video games.
Well, you do. Well, yep. Okay, bye.